Hello there, Atheist Jr. here, your friend and humble narrator. And in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to a video from Matt Powell and Kent Hovind, another Whack an Atheist video. Now, I originally was going to react to the video that's just on Matt Powell's channel, which is basically like a top 10 arguments that he claims evolutionists make and that, is taught in science classes and is established fact, like this is what they're teaching. But I guess Matt Powell took his top 10 video, went down to Repton, Alabama, so him and Kent Hovind could react to the video together. So this video is going to be a little bit longer because they really stretch out the content, but oh well. So let's not waste any time.
This is Matt Powell from his YouTube channel, Matt Powell Official. I don't know why he's got an official on the end of it, but there you go. Yes, Matt Powell is a young earth creationist, and he is an unbelievable moron and science-denying half-wit.
That's very accurate. He blatantly misrepresents the science of evolution, Big Bang cosmology, pretty much everything that Kent Hovind misrepresents about science. Matt Powell just parrots or puts his own spin on it. And what he really likes to do, and you'll see this in this video, is take pop sci articles that already aren't doing a very good job at representing the scientific papers that they're written about. He'll take these pop sci articles that are really only like 3 paragraphs long to begin with, and then he'll just like mention the title, and sometimes he doesn't even get that right. And he basically scoffs and says, oh, well, look how stupid what the evolutionists believe. Look how stupid their beliefs are, you know? So we'll see that coming up.
Science denying half-wit. Okay.
He puts all his faith and trust in the Bible. Anyway, Matt, the floor is all yours.
Monkeys who sailed 900 miles across the Atlantic. Intrepid monkeys, according to scientists, made an improbable sea voyage from Africa to South America on a raft. Picture it, on a raft 34 million years ago. They're saying that the only way they could have got there is climbing on a little raft.
You know, surfing monkeys, surfing dinosaurs, it's perfectly plausible.
All right. So apparently he thinks that Dr. Kent Hovind and I were so scientifically...
Yeah, Kent Hovind is not a doctor. Kent Hovind went to Patriot Bible College, which is a diploma mill. He is not a doctor.
...literate. But yet he says that it's perfectly plausible to believe in surfing dinosaurs and surfing monkeys.
And feathered dinosaurs.
And feathered dinosaurs.
And a dot of nothing exploding. Yes, sir.
I was wondering why he was wearing Hitler's mustache on his forehead.
He's wearing Hitler's mustache on his forehead.
Have you ever seen Hitler's mustache? Because that doesn't look like Hitler's mustache. That looks like a normal handlebar mustache.
Never noticed that. He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do you say about this guy?
I think the evidence speaks for itself. Anybody watching this knows that what we're saying is true. And we haven't hardly even started. But what the evolutionists are saying is totally make-believe and fiction. And they'll even admit to you, if you ask an atheist, what's the meaning of life? They'll say, well, my meaning of my life's whatever I make up. I just make it up. What they're admitting is that they're making up or make-believing a purpose for life. They don't think there is a purpose, but they've decided to make-believe instead.
Yep.
So
if there's no such thing as right and wrong, what's wrong?
I'm sorry. How did we get off the topic of the monkeys going to South America? What are you even talking about? Right and wrong. And Kent Hovind, you are the last person. You are the last person, Kent Hovind, who should be trying to lecture anybody else, especially atheists, about morals or what's right and what's wrong. Okay, you have no moral compass, Kent, and I don't even have time to get into it. But you're the last person who should be trying to act like you have the moral high ground above anybody else. So I'm gonna hopefully play this a little bit more and see if they can get back on topic to the monkeys surfing, and I'll let them make their claim, and then I'm going to show my counter evidence, basically.
What's wrong with me shooting you right now?
When they say there's no such thing as right or wrong, well, is that right?
Yeah, how do you know that's
Are you
right?
right about that? They'll say, well, you're wrong, Matt. Well, how could I be wrong if nobody's wrong? If there is no right, if there is no wrong, everything is self-defeating. They say there's no absolutes. I mean, this is just stuff that we've debunked over and over and over again, but they'll just keep believing.
Yeah, when they say there are no absolutes, I say, are you absolutely sure? You guys need help. We're here to whack you sweetly because we love you. We're trying to help you. Okay, let's see.
Beards can really take a hit.
Wow, okay. So I guess they just kind of breezed past the monkeys rafting. So here is the NatGeo article that Matt Powell is referencing when monkeys surfed to South America. And it says, long ago, about 36 million years before today, a raft of monkeys found themselves adrift in the Atlantic. They'd been blown out to sea by an intense storm that had ripped up the African coast, and now a mat of floating vegetation was the closest thing to land for miles in all directions. But luck was with them. Thanks to a favorable current, they were thrown onto the beach of a new continent, South America. In the latest issue of Nature, paleontologist Mariano Bond and colleagues describe a handful of fossil teeth found in the rainforest of Peru. Some are mysteries too incomplete to identify down to genus or species, but a set of 3 molars are clearly from a new species of early monkey. So, let's see. At about 36 million years old, Parapithecus pushes back the arrival of monkeys on South America 10 million years earlier than previously thought. And even better, the molars of Parapithecus closely resemble those of Talopithecus, an early monkey that lived around the same time in northern Africa. This doesn't mean that I'm just not going to bother. This doesn't mean that it was directly descended from that one. Rather, it's another strong sign that the ancestors of New World monkeys were accidental migrants from Africa. So this NatGeo article is making a lot of positive claims. NatGeo is pop science. It's this is a 3-minute read. It's meant to sort of be clickbaity and sort of sensationalize what the actual science is. So let's take a look at the actual scientific paper that the NatGeo article is basing on. Eocene primates of South America and the African origins of New World monkeys. And what you're going to find is that this paper is a lot more guarded in the language that it uses. It's not going to say, oh, this did happen. We know that these monkeys were on a raft of vegetation, and, it's going to use words like possibly, proposal. So South America and Africa have been separated since the early late Cretaceous. So vicariance of primates, the geographical separation of a population. Vicariance of primates does not appear reasonable as an explanation for their appearance in the Eocene on 2 continents separated by the Atlantic. Numerous studies have focused on the possibility of primates crossing the Atlantic to reach South America from Africa, with rafting across the Atlantic usually considered a feasible way for how primates arrived in South America, presuming they originated in Africa. It has also been proposed that perhaps more than one rafting event carried more than one primate taxon successfully across the Atlantic in the Paleogene, suggesting a possible early African diversification before arrival in South America. So, this article, or the research paper, is basically saying this is a hypothesis, because considering that the continents of South America and Africa during this time period were already separated by such a wide ocean, okay, there's not really an explanation other than something like this. So this is how science is done, and this is what Matt Powell and Kent Hovind will never understand. When you have a situation like this, where you have these fossilized teeth that in all reality shouldn't be there, or it's hard to explain how they could be there, because, how did the monkeys get there, Obviously they didn't walk. But what I find interesting is, okay, Matt Powell and Kent Hovind, how do you think that the teeth got there? Because according to you, there was a global flood. So I would like to ask them, why is it that you think that this monkey surfing is so implausible? Because any of the reasons that you could give are exactly the same reasons that the flood myth, that Noah's Ark, is also not plausible, except you multiply it by like 1,000,000. Because this is just some monkeys who got blown off of the land that they were onto the sea, clung to some vegetation or some heavy tree trunks or bark, and got lucky enough with really strong wind currents to survive long enough to land on a different continent. But Noah's Ark is about 1,000,000 times less plausible, because you have so many more animals. You have to feed all of them. You have to take care of all of their waste. And you have a global flood. So what you believe is much, much more ridiculous.
University of Utah researchers discovered human beards evolved to absorb punches to the head and jaw.
My beard grow a little more. Research shows that flowing facial hair might have evolved to help fight hungry humans better absorb blows to the head. Fortunately, no humans were slugged in the name of science. So
Why not? Yeah, this isn't science. Hey, Will, you want to be famous? Come show your beard on screen.
Come on up, Will.
Come on up, Will. Hey, brother Johnny, get up here and show him yours. Who else got a bit? Hey, there we go. Kevin. So, is it okay if I punch you in the face? It won't hurt. Is that right? Is that what he's saying?
No.
It's not okay. Okay. Let your wife do that. Okay. So that's from.
So what? There's some domestic abuse going on? You think it's okay for his wife to punch him in the face?
Getting punched. Okay. Go ahead, brother. And Johnny, show him yours. How long you been growing yours?
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. And is that, it wasn't from getting punched though?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, evolution doesn't happen on the time scale of 3 weeks, Kent. Okay. This is the scientific paper that, again, the Pop Science article that Matt Powell is mocking. This is what it's actually based on. Okay. Because facial hair is one of the most sexually dimorphic features of humans, it is, and is often perceived as an indicator of masculinity and social dominance, human facial hair has been suggested to play a role, okay, in male contest competition. Some authors have proposed that the beard may function similar to the long hair of a lion's mane, serving to protect vital areas like the throat and jaw from lethal attacks. So not just punching. This is consistent with the observations that the mandible, which is superficially covered by the beard, is one of the most commonly fractured facial bones in interpersonal violence. We hypothesized that beards protect the skin and bones of the face when human males fight by absorbing and dispersing the energy of a blunt impact. We tested this hypothesis by measuring impact force and energy absorbed by a fiber epoxy composite, which served as a bone analog when it was covered with skin that had thick hair versus skin that had no hair. We covered the epoxy with segments, blah, da, 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 da. We found that the fully furred samples were capable of absorbing more energy than plucked and sheared samples. For example, peak force was 16% greater, and total energy absorbed was 30% greater in the furred compared to the plucked samples. These differences were due in part to a longer time frame of force delivery in the furred samples. These data support the hypothesis that human beards protect vulnerable regions of the facial skeleton from damaging strikes. So to me, this is perfectly logical, you know? I mean, it just makes sense that if somebody had a full, thick beard, which likely our early human ancestors or the earliest Homo sapiens or Neanderthals would have had, because obviously they weren't shaving. So it makes sense that somebody would get selected for if they could have the genetics to grow a thick beard versus somebody who had like peach fuzz. Obviously, having a very thick beard is going to provide some padding and is going to provide some resistance against strikes and possibly the bites of an animal versus either nothing or very thin facial hair. So all this is suggesting is that it's possible that natural selection could have favored the Homo sapien males that had the thickest beards because it would have protected them. It's not saying that, oh, we got beards from getting punched. Like, I don't understand how Kent can read like an article or, you know, find some information and then just immediately misrepresent it. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, did you got this beard 3 weeks ago? Was it because your wife punched you? Hovind?
All right. Thank you, brother. Okay, Kevin 2.0. We got two Kevins here. Kevin 1.0 and Kevin 2.0. Go ahead. How long
In case one Kevin dies from heat exhaustion after working 16 hours a day.
have you been growing yours?
At least a couple months.
A couple months?
About a month, maybe.
Was it from being punched? Is that what made it grow, or what happened?
Kent, you just completely don't understand what the argument even is. You're lost. You're like a child who wanders into a movie theater during the middle of a movie and then starts crying because you don't understand the plot.
Looking nice.
Could have been. Okay, good. Good to have you, brother. Wow. Okay, let's let these guys go back to their.
Put it to the test. I mean, real life experiment. Iowa, put it to the test.
Yeah, they did test it, and they did do experiments and showed the data that suggested that their hypothesis could be true. That's all this was.
My beard grow a little more. Did that hurt? Nope, got a beard.
Because it was a perfect dinosaur skeleton that just had feathers on it. And now we know that there are a host of dinosaurs that were completely feathered, including Velociraptor. I'm sure you've heard of Velociraptor, right? Did you know they were fully plumed? Fully plumed, covered in feathers.
What he does, he speaks so confidently that people believe him. Hitler did the same thing.
Okay, so I guess Kent has just lost this argument because he's violated Godwin's law. I don't know if the Hitler mention earlier counted, but yeah, of course he has to compare Aaron Ra to Hitler. Shout out to Aaron Ra, by the way.
Speak confidently. The people will follow you. Wow. Did you know they found a fully feathered dinosaur? Sorry, Mr. Nelson, you are insane. Okay? Certifiably insane.
Okay, so what's your evidence that they didn't find fossil imprints that showed feather what is your proof that Aaron's claim is wrong, Kent? You're just dismissing it. But so what Matt Powell does, it's obviously all of these clips are completely taken out of context. So he just plays a short clip out of context, and then Ken Hovind just says, "Oh no, you're insane, Aaron. You're just insane, Larry Nelson." Okay.
Want to hear about dinosaurs?
Do I want to hear about dinosaurs?
Turns out that, so this is a new report from British scientists, and they said that basically the dinosaurs, they also warmed the planet thanks to all the gas that they emitted from eating all the leafy plants. And in all, they emitted a total of 520 million tons per year of global methane, which is, they say, is a level comparable to the total given off today by animals and industrial activity. So they farted their way to extinction.
I think what's important here is actually that this once and for all proves that the Creation Museum in Kentucky is wrong. Because if dinosaurs were actually farting that much, Adam and Eve would not have been that close to them hanging out. So I just want to point that out.
Okay, so clearly this is where you should be going to get your scientific information from. RT, during their segment called Happy Hour, where they're having martinis. Okay, obviously what she just said was a joke. And I'm going to show here how disingenuous Matt Powell is being. Okay, so this is the original Fox News article that Matt Powell referenced when he started making this claim months ago, and it's already been debunked. Brainbug did a video debunking this. I've debunked this in a video. But yeah, so we have a Fox News article that's a couple paragraphs saying that they gassed themselves into extinction, which is not what the scientists say. And you even have an article here from the Smithsonian talking about how media blows hot air about dinosaur flatulence. A new study claims dinosaur farts contributed to prehistoric climate change. Sorry, I forgot how to speak. But don't believe reports that they gassed themselves to death. So this is so bad that Smithsonian had to come out with an entire article about this because a lot of news sites picked this up because obviously it's a great clickbait headline. Okay? But again, here's the actual scientific paper. I'm just going to read the summary. Mesozoic sauropods, like many modern herbivores, are likely to have hosted microbial methanogenic symbionts for the fermentative digestion of their plant food. Today, methane from livestock is a significant component of the global methane budget, which is absolutely true. Sauropod methane emission would probably have been considerable. Here we use simple quantitative approach to estimate the magnitude of such methane production and show that the production of the greenhouse gas methane by sauropods could have been an important factor in warm Mesozoic climates. Okay, so all this scientific paper is saying is that the sauropods, which are massive dinosaurs. I mean, you have to imagine what the gas output of just one brachiosaur would have been like. Insane. And you have these all over the world, or in many different areas of the world. So obviously there would have been an absolutely unreal methane output because just the cows that we have today put out a lot of greenhouse gases. So all that paper was saying is that these dinosaurs were herbivorous. They were herbivores, so they ate lots of plants, and they produced a lot of methane, and that contributed to the greenhouse gas effect and the warming of the climate during the era in which these dinosaurs went extinct. So it's likely that it contributed to their extinction, but I think it had more to do with the Chicxulub comet impact cratering into the Earth than dinosaurs farting. Now, it doesn't surprise me that this clickbait title caught on like wildfire because it's a great title. I mean, it's a funny concept. You know, it's funny. I admit it. But it's just a lie. So, Matt Powell, you're like 3 for 3 or 4 for 4. I don't know. I've lost count of how many times you've lied in this video.
Wait. Ken Ham's Creation Museum in Kentucky is wrong because if dinosaurs farted that much, Adam and Eve wouldn't have been close to them. Can you see the logic?
Well, and it's funny because they're like, Christianity is so superstitious. Matt Powell and Dr. Hovind, or they won't ever call him Dr. Hovind. They say Matt Powell and Kent Hovind are superstitious wanna believers. Well, I'm sorry. Anybody who believes that dinosaurs actually, farted themselves to death, yeah, that's pretty superstitious. Saying that the universe popped into existence from nothing.
Well, let's play the rest. It's hilarious.
I don't think you know what the definition of superstition is, Matt Powell.
60 million years ago, last Tuesday, the mighty dinosaurs were wiped out. There were many reasons for this, and here is just one of them.
This is a kid's video.
Number 63.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this.
Greenhouse gases
Sorry, I don't need to hear a bunch of fucking fart noises.
caused climate change,
Good grief.
which caused an ice age, and they all froze to death.
If we evolved from monkeys, why are there still...
I'm sorry, who is this person? Did Matt Powell just find clips of anybody on the internet saying his lies so we could present them? Like, I mean, talk about confirmation bias. It's ridiculous.
monkeys? Well, because we're not monkeys. We're fish. Now, knowing you're a fish and not a monkey is actually really important to understanding where we came from.
Very important.
Many of us were taught evolution wrong. You and I are fish. One fish lineage came onto land and gave rise to, among other things, the mammals and reptiles. Perhaps it's better still to think of us as a little fish out of water.
Let's talk about the universe.
I'm sorry, did you see how many cuts were in that video? Matt Powell edited that to shit. Okay, but this is a TED Talk, so obviously the guy is sort of exaggerating a little bit for the sake of entertainment value, but if you talk to somebody like Neil Shubin, who discovered Tiktaalik, what he would tell you in much more scientific terms is that if you look at Tiktaalik, which was a fish, it was a lobe-finned fish. It's one of the earliest ancestors of humans that had a neck that could move like this and a shoulder. And it's one of the earliest ancestors that had the pattern of 2 bones. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. It's like 1 bone, 2 bones, lots of bones. Sorry, I messed that up. So you have 1 bone in your upper arm, and then you have 2 bones in your forearm, and then you have lots of bones in your hand, your metacarpals and carpals, your little finger bones. And that pattern of 1 bone, 2 bones, lots of bones is exactly the same thing that Tiktaalik has. So when he's saying that we're a fish, Neil Shubin wrote a book called Embrace Your Inner Fish. I don't think what he means is that we're literally fish. Like, we're humans, we're mammals, we don't have scales. But our common ancestry with fish like Tiktaalik shows that we got a lot of our traits from the early lobe-finned fish. So in a way, it's accurate to say that. And, we even have brains that are the brain of basically a reptile brain that's wrapped in another brain that's wrapped in a more complex brain. So evolution, the way it works is that we've retained these traits, like from Tiktaalik, and we've retained the brain structure of having a sort of small reptilian cortex that's surrounded by more complex brain tissue that's surrounded by even more complex brain tissue. And evolution builds on these things over time, and we sort of pick and choose. Natural selection does this. Traits that are advantageous from different species like fish, lobe-finned fish, reptiles. You have the reptile to mammal transition. Obviously, I'm way oversimplifying, but yet again, what Matt Powell is doing here is just trying to make evolution and trying to make science look stupid by finding a clip that is hyperbole. But what he's actually saying is true. He's just wording it in a way that sounds a little bit silly. But if you actually understand what he's talking about, and maybe if you watch the whole clip instead of just 5 seconds of it, you might see that, and you might actually learn something, Matt Powell and Ken Hovind.
Shall we? You.
Anything to say?
Think of yourself as a little fish out of water. How many of you have never thought about yourself as a fish out of water? That thought never occurred to you. Most of it.
The guy said there's still monkeys around because we didn't evolve from monkeys. So why are there still fish around?
Why are there still fish around? Back to the same question.
I was thinking the same thing.
If I have a loaf of bread and I make toast, why do I still have bread? If the country of America came from England, why is there still England?
There's something kind of fishy about that whole theory. Okay, let's watch this lady. This will blow your mind.
The universe, as we know it, was created by what is known as the Big Bang, or so we believe. The Big Bang is the belief that the universe essentially came from nothing.
Okay. The universe was not created by the Big Bang, and the Big Bang is not a belief.
And that's hard to understand because how could something so enormous and, significant and just magical come from nothing? As I said, it was once believed that our entire universe, not just Earth, not just our solar system, not just our galaxy, everything, our entire universe was once this big.
Lady, I will give you $1,000 if you can squeeze this rock, just this one, into a dot that big.
Yeah, I feel like, how does this woman have 400,000 subscribers? She has no idea what she's talking about. I'm sorry. But this is one of Kent Hovind's talking points that really annoys me. Okay, so this is an article from CERN. In the first moments after the Big Bang, the universe was extremely hot and dense. As the universe cooled, conditions became just right to give rise to the building blocks of matter, the quarks and electrons of which we are all made. A few millionths of a second later, quarks aggregated to produce protons and neutrons. Within minutes, these protons and neutrons combined into nuclei. As the universe continued to expand and cool, things began to happen more slowly. It took 380,000 years for electrons to be trapped in orbits around nuclei, forming the first atoms. So it was about 400,000 years after the universe started to expand, after the earliest moments of the Big Bang, before any atoms formed. So that means no matter, no solid objects, no liquids, no gas, nothing, no stars, no planets, no solid matter at all until 400,000 years later. So when Kent Hovind tries to say, oh, well, you couldn't compress the Earth into this dot the size of a period, Hovind, he's misrepresenting cosmic expansion and the Big Bang. So these were mainly helium and hydrogen, which are still by far the most abundant elements in the universe. This is an argument that really annoys me from Kent, but you did not have matter, solid matter, rocks, gas, anything like that at the earliest moments of the Big Bang, because the universe was too hot and too dense for atomic nuclei to coalesce.
The chances of just a mega bang or explosion creating, what's essential for life, living creatures is just slim to none for me. It seems unbelievable of that.
It does
That's
seem
because
unbelievable, doesn't
that's
it?
because it's not believable because it's not true. Truth is things we can demonstrate, what the facts are. And if we could demonstrate that out of nothing everything was produced, then it would be believable. The reason she says, well, it sounds so unbelievable. Yeah, that's because it is unbelievable.
Okay, well, demonstrate that young Earth creationism is true.
What if I said a giant boulder just popped into existence in the middle of this room? Nobody would believe that. But yet people think that the entire universe popped into existence uncaused. I don't even know what to say because
it blows my mind, brother. The problem is they believe.
No, it wouldn't be uncaused. It would have been because of quantum fluctuations.
It, which is fine. Okay, you can believe whatever you want, but they want us to pay to have that taught to the kids in school. Now that's not fine, right?
Pay? Kent, you don't pay property taxes on Dinosaur Adventureland. And you've been a tax dodger your whole life, so don't complain about having to pay taxes to teach evolution in public school.
And they're pressing hard to get people like us censored from the internet right now.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they can to shut us down and to get us to be quiet. But here's the thing, even if they got us to get off the internet, we would just find some other platform. We would start our own website. They will never shut us down, even if we have to go door to door preaching the gospel of Christ.
Well, Jesus,
we're still going to do it.
Jesus, his disciples, they didn't have the internet.
And it's amazing because they talked about Christ and the disciples. The Pharisees said, these are the men which have turned the world upside down. 12 guys. So I believe that if there are enough people that will just take God's word seriously and go door to door with the gospel of Christ and knock on people's door and ask them if they're sure that they're going to heaven, I believe that that is what's going to turn this world upside down.
I've done that a million times. Well, it didn't count a lot.
Amen.
It is proven that the universe was much smaller. It is theorized that it was actually the size of a grain of sand at one point, grain of sand. But that small grain of sand that was once our universe had to have enough energy to set off that moment of creation.
So the grain of sand contained all the matter and
Wrong.
all the energy. What is the total heat of all the stars that have ever put off throughout history? That was a hot dot.
Well, let's talk about her logic for a second.
I think that was the only correct thing that Kent Hovind has said in this entire video. Oh, that was a hot dot. Okay.
Said it must have had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
who would say that? What if I said nothing caused something over here to explode? Because remember, according to them, there's no God. What if I said nothing caused an explosion? People would say that's crazy. The first thing people ask is, what caused the explosion of whatever, 9/11? You know, they'll ask, let's do an investigation. Who caused it? Well, if you think there's no God, that means, and then the Big Bang happened, that means that nothing had to cause nothing, no time, no space, no matter, to explode.
No, it doesn't, because the Big Bang is not an explosion in space. It's an expansion of the fabric of space-time itself. But I feel like there's no point in even saying this, because Matt Powell and Ken Hovind are going to keep repeating this lie every single day until they die.
So,
you know, what's even sadder than all of this is they don't even know they're stupid. They don't even know. They really.
Oh boy, the irony is so thick you could cut it with a 2x4. Oh, you know, everyone is stupid but me, Hovind. Oh, Hovind. Oh, okay. Hovind.
They think they're smart, and they might.
Okay, guy who says he has 4 PhDs and claims to have 160 IQ and that he was a chess champion in high school. Yeah. It's the atheists who think that they're smart. Kent, you are such a fucking hypocrite.
Might be in some other area.
Right.
Okay, lady, keep talking. We're loving this.
Yeah, good times.
Did the universe need a creator? Not according to the physicist and mathematician Stephen Hawking, who argues that God wasn't necessary for the creation of the world. Professor Hawking claims that the Big Bang theory of creation can now be explained by science alone, without the need to consider some form of divine intervention.
Because there are laws, such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing.
Stephen, laws have a lawgiver. Who gave the law of gravity? Who gave the laws of inertia, centrifugal force? There are thousands of laws of physics in the universe. Where'd the laws come from? He knows now.
Yeah.
Well,
Sadly, I mean,
I bet he wishes he could
he
take
wishes he could take it all back.
Yeah.
See, not only did he deceive himself, he deceived many other people. James 3:1 says, "Be not many masters, knowing we shall receive the greater condemnation." Be careful what you teach, because if you influence somebody else to turn away from God, not only are you going to be in trouble when you stand before God, he's going to call up all the other folks that are going to be witness against you and say, well, he taught me this. Yeah, be careful about being a teacher. That'll be in tomorrow night's Bible study. Any more here?
And the contradiction of what he said also was, he said, because there is gravity, the universe will create itself from nothing. Wait a minute. How could nothing exist while gravity exists?
Yeah, so I'm not crazy about this quote from Stephen Hawking, but again, you've just taken this completely out of its context.
Gravity is something.
Where did gravity exist?
Well, that's just his claim. So he says, because gravity exists, nothing will create everything. Well, that's an oxymoron, because you can't have gravity and nothing at the same time. That just doesn't make sense.
Poor guy.
Gravity is generated by something.
By something, right?
And exactly where is gravity? You know, what's a jar of gravity weigh? What exactly is gravity? I mean, to say it's the attraction of masses. Well, wait a minute. What masses? There was nothing.
There was nothing. Yeah.
I'm convinced there have got to be some demons someplace laughing. They're having parties saying, I bet I can get people to believe they came from nothing. No, you can't. Yeah, I can.
And people always say that it's crazy to believe in the devil. You mean to tell me that you really believe in the devil, Matt? Well, here's the thing. Just the fact that people believe evolution proves that the devil deceives.
Yeah. He's a
The
deceiver.
fact that they could believe something that ridiculous proves that the devil exists and that he tricks people.
How do you figure that? The fact that you don't understand evolution proves that the devil exists and deceives people? Yeah, that's a complete non sequitur.
They got to be having competition. Who can make people believe the dumbest thing? One of them said, I think I can make people
Well, I think you and Matt Powell are making the people in the room there believe some pretty dumb stuff, Kent.
believe dinosaurs turned into chickens. No way. They'll never believe that. Oh, yeah, watch this. I've got to have competition somewhere. All right, go ahead, lady. Stephen.
The universe could essentially be nothingness, which was unstable and created a soap bubble.
Wait.
Yeah, how could nothing be unstable?
Nothing was unstable and made a soap bubble. Whoa, we all came from a soap bubble. Wait. Here. Hold that for 1 minute.
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay, now listen carefully. You evolutionists and atheists, we're trying to help, okay?
Okay, I'm going to see if I can get this Stephen Hawking link real quick. If not, then oh well. Okay, here we go. Now, is this... I want to find the exact quote. I hope, did I pass it? Okay, one moment. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties, like... Okay, I'm just going to read this part. Our everyday experience makes us think that everything that happens must be caused by something that occurred earlier in time. So it's natural for us to think that something, maybe God, must have caused the universe to come into existence. But when we're talking about the universe as a whole, that isn't necessarily so. Let me explain. Imagine a river flowing down a mountainside. What caused the river? Well, perhaps the rain that fell earlier in the mountains. But then what caused the rain? A good answer would be the sun that shone down on the ocean and lifted water vapor up in the sky and made clouds. Okay, so what caused the sun to shine? Well, if we look inside, we see the process known as fusion, in which hydrogen atoms join to form helium, releasing vast quantities of energy in the process. So far, so good. Where does the hydrogen come from? Answer, the Big Bang. But here's the crucial bit. The laws of nature itself tell us that not only could the universe have popped into existence without any assistance like a proton and have required nothing in terms of energy, but it's also possible that nothing caused the Big Bang. Nothing. Wow. So I'm going to see if I can find the exact quote. Let's see here. I believe this is the book that the quote is from. Well, okay. So, anyway. Okay, sorry about that. So, I'm not crazy about that Stephen Hawking quote, but if you Google it, you can find the PDF from the book that it's from. I think that was the right book. I looked it up earlier, but I didn't have the PDF ready to look up right now, so I don't want to do that while I'm recording a video. But yeah, he explains it better than I could. So I think that I'm going to end the video here because I've basically covered all of the topics that I wanted to cover, and it doesn't get much better from here. Kent Hovind and Matt Powell, they are completely disingenuous. They misrepresent science, they lie, and then they mock atheists and evolutionists and call us stupid. Well, Matt Powell and Kent Hovind, I don't think that Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson and people like Richard Dawkins are the ones who are stupid. Maybe it's the two guys in Lenox, Alabama wearing Hawaiian shirts misrepresenting science that are the ones who are stupid. Think about that. Hey, thank you so much for watching my video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can also click the bell icon to turn on notifications, and you'll be notified whenever one of my new videos premieres or when one of my live streams goes live. If you'd like to support my channel past that, you can visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/atheistjr and consider pledging as low as $1 per month. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.